The Paddletek Reserve 16mm is their entry into the elongated foam paddle category. The Reserve also comes in a 14mm version that plays on the stiffer side, but I didn't get the production 14mm in time for this review, so we're going to focus exclusively on the 16mm here in my hand. With a multi-density foam core and average performance metrics across the board, it's positioned as a balanced option rather than a performance standout. The question is whether this multi-foam approach delivers enough to compete in a crowded market. Full disclosure, Paddletek sent me this paddle to test with no strings attached. No money changed hands. I'm not obligated to create any content for them, and these are my honest impressions. You can use code MPB at checkout to support this channel and my website, which you should check out at matspickleball.com. The Reserve is built around a multi-density foam core. That's a polyurethane foam layer, then EVA foam shaped into a diving board structure with an EPP foam center. The EVA terminates at the 4 and 8 o'clock positions, basically leaving the upper perimeter less stiff, raising the sweet spot and increasing drive power. If you activate the diving board, you're going to feel it. The face is raw carbon fiber with a peel ply surface texture, but here's where it differs from Paddletek's other paddles. The Bantam uses a 2-layer construction with fiberglass and carbon, while the Reserve uses 4 layers of carbon fiber oriented at 0, 90, 0, and 90 degrees. It's more carbon than their traditional builds, though. While 2026 is shaping up to be the year of surface innovation with brands pushing new, longer-lasting textures and carbon weaves, Paddletek is staying conservative with a proven raw carbon structure here. It's thermoformed and the core sits somewhere between hollow paddles that boom on contact and super dense foam builds like the Carbon True Foam or Valair Shift constructions. The shape is elongated at 16.375 inches long by just under 7.5 inches wide, with a 5.75-inch handle. The extra handle length does give you more reach and leverage, though I personally would have preferred 5.5 inches. The engineering intent here seems clear. Create a foam paddle that plays fast and spin forward without the harsh feedback or arm discomfort you get from some power-focused hollow foam paddles that vibrate a lot. Whether the execution delivers on that is what we're going to find out. The Reserve 16mm weighs 8.22 ounces on the heavier side for elongated paddles, about 0.2 ounces above average. The swing weight is 117.75, basically average, which means it feels lighter and faster than the static weight would suggest. Swing weight is a measurement of how heavy the paddle feels to swing. If you want to learn more, I wrote a blog post about it on my website at matspickleball.com, and I'll add the link down below. The balance point is 24.2 centimeters, which, given the paddle length, is pretty neutral. Twist weight is 6.0, which puts it on the lower side. More maneuverable, but less forgiving than most elongated paddles. You'll notice this on off-center hits. I'm not going to read through all the performance data, but I'll put it up on the screen now, except for surface roughness, which measured at 7.02 microns. That is above average for this category. So on paper, you're looking at a paddle that should generate decent pace from the baseline without being explosive, with average spin capability despite the raw carbon surface. The low twist weight suggests it might struggle with stability on off-center hits, and it does, but we'll talk about how to shore that up a bit later. After the first few sessions, what stood out was the feel, denser and plusher than I expected, but not soft. In loud, echoey clubs, you still hear a sharp crack off the face. There's no vibration at all, which honestly surprised me for a Paddletek. The swing weight is average for this category, and it feels that way. Not slow, not lightning fast, just middle of the road in terms of maneuverability. At the baseline, power is there if you bring it. This is not a paddle that gives you free pace unless you really swing through and activate that diving board. So it's possible. But generally, you need to generate your own power. Drives had good penetration, but if I was lazy or just missed, the ball falls flat. Where the paddle really impressed me was on topspin drops and drips. The core does some of the work here to produce spin. I could shape drops more easily than I expected, and the spin helped pull balls down even when I didn't catch them perfectly. At the net, the feel was predictable. Touch shots settled in nicely. The 16mm thickness gives you enough dwell to absorb pace and control your resets. Pop sits firmly in the middle, not excessively poppy, but not dead either. Compared to my weighted bread and butter Loco, the Reserve has less pop, but similar in the ballpark power on drives. The sweet spot is moderate in size, it's not huge, and the low twist weight means you'll feel it when you miss center. Stock stability is limited. Off-center hits would twist in my hand more than I'd like. One thing I noticed throughout testing, launch angle feels a little different. Not high, not low, just different. The paddle doesn't help you get under balls or drive them flat, but this is another paddle where I thought about launch angle, which honestly is an unmeasurable phenomenon that's difficult to explain. The Ripple V2 comparison from my notes keeps coming back to me. There's a similar feel here, but the Reserve is slightly lighter to swing and on the denser side. This is a foam paddle with average maneuverability. After a bunch of play, it delivers strong spin and usable power, but you need to hit the center of the face consistently. Shocker, right? It reminds me of the Bantams in that sense. The low twist weight is the reason the sweet spot feels somewhat limited. Paddletek sacrificed some stability to keep the paddle maneuverable. I also bet that 3 surface layers instead of 4 would have brought the overall weight down. Players who generate their own power and prioritize hand speed will appreciate this. Players who want the paddle to do the work for them or who struggle with consistent contact will find it frustrating. I added 1.5 grams of weight at the bottom corners initially just to test stability, and it helped. But the real difference came when I added 3 grams at 3 and 9 o'clock. That brought the twist weight up and made off-center hits more forgiving. The improvement in stability is noticeable. I wouldn't call it a necessary fix. The paddle is playable stock, but adding weight improves the experience, especially if you're coming from heavier, more stable paddles. The improvement in stability is noticeable. I wouldn't call it a necessary fix. The paddle is playable stock, but adding weight improves the overall experience, especially if you're coming from a lighter and even more stable paddle. The Reserve sits in an interesting spot. It swings with less effort than the Loco elongated 16mm and has slightly less pop, but similar-ish power levels. The Loco also costs $199 and is available and wildly popular. The J6 FC Plus and upcoming J6 CR 16mm from Honolulu Pickleball are priced at $195 and offer higher spin with slightly better stability thanks to a higher twist weight of 6.7. The Ripple R1 V2 14mm is more expensive at $280, but delivers higher performance across the board. More power, more spin, different feel. But also coming soon, you have real surface innovation that you have to look at seriously if surface grit longevity is a concern of yours. For example, the upcoming Power 2 series from 11624 that will retail for $209. The Reserve's advantage is that it plays a little more arm-friendly and offers solid spin without the vibration you get from some other foam paddles. But it doesn't match the raw performance of the other options mentioned, let alone how the surface will hold up. Given now we're in an age where everyone is chasing the absolute longest lasting grit, I do think this paddle is ideal for players who generate their own power and prioritize spin. If you're comfortable adding weight to dial in performance, this could work well for you. It's not for players who want free power or for those who are looking for a massive sweet spot. If you're not willing to add weight, the stock stability might frustrate you. The deciding factor, do you prioritize maneuverability and spin over out-of-the-box power and stability? If yes, and you're willing to tune it with some weight, the Reserve could be your paddle. If you're concerned about grit and the longest lasting paddle surfaces, this one is going to last just as long as all the others, except those from brands focused on long-term surface durability. So that's it. That's the Paddletek Reserve 16mm review. It's a spin-forward foam paddle, and I do think there's a player for this paddle. Someone who values spin and doesn't mind customization, but it's not a plug-and-play option and it won't overpower anyone out of the box. Just like Bantams, this one plays better with some tuning. So would you add weight to this paddle to unlock its potential, or do you prefer paddles that deliver stock performance? Let me know in the comments. And remember, you can use code MPB at checkout, which also helps support this channel. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.